Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Election month is finally over, I guess. Nah, we have 6 house races left, but whatever, right? So, Kamala Harris, she had a resounding defeat in this particular case, and she is too bankrupt to even go for recounts, so that's really funny. Alright, so here's the Electoral College. This is also with margins. Safe is the dark red or dark blue, that's more than 10 points. The lighter shade is likely, which is between 5 and 10. Then we have the lean margin, which is between 2 and 5. And then right here with the Rust Belt, we have tilt margins, which is less than 2. So that's the standard margin I use. But in this particular case, I changed the text box on the screen, which is down below here, to the prediction margins, which I use. In this particular case, on point being less than 1% off with the margin of error that I had estimated in the 3-hour video like 2 weeks ago. And then within the margin of error would be 5 points. I see that I did make a mistake here, so I'm just going to quickly change that. There. Easy, right? Alright, so what does this mean? Here's the Electoral College. 312 votes for Donald Trump, 226 for Kamala Harris. Trump also got the popular vote. I think he's about 50.4, I believe. That particular range doesn't really matter. Here we go. So, this is a little bit of a different map. This is basically all the guesses that I made. Green is I got them correct. And as you can see, basically the entire thing is green. Except for Nevada. Well, I thought it's the blue whale of the Republican Party, like the Moby Dick, and they won't be able to slay that beast. Turns out they could. Who would have thunk? So, now bring us to a different map. The margins. Green is on point, so within 1% of the actual margin of victory. And as you can see, the giant shift in New York State, I saw that coming. The one in Maryland, I saw that one coming. I saw Minnesota, Colorado. When they had about 70% of the vote, I had it on point. I had an 11.44 margin of victory for Kamala Harris. At the moment, I think it became 11.6, so that's 0.2 off. Not too bad, if I say so myself. I saw Georgia the way it went, North Carolina, and all that. So, all the yellow is 5% margin of error, so basically within 5 of what the actual result is. And that's basically every other state. So, in total, that would be 48 out of the 56 states/congressional districts. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I treat Nebraska's 1st, 2nd, 3rd as different regions. Red in this particular case is I severely underestimate the Republican Party. And blue is I severely underestimated the Democrats. So, regarding Texas, I think I had at about Trump plus 8. I didn't see it going for Trump by 15 points. Neither did I see the shift in Mississippi. And the one in Mississippi is really funny because the Delta region, which is heavily black, shifted right significantly for no reason. Which gives a lot of credence to the Trump is getting a lot of the black vote in this particular region. Rhode Island, I don't think anyone saw that coming. California, I don't think anyone saw that coming either. I mean, I had it at Harris plus 23, I think. And it's Harris plus 17. I don't think anyone saw that. Illinois, I have seen no polls indicating that it would have been less than 10. I had it at 18 for Harris, but turns out to be 8. Or what is it, 8.9 or something like that. Who cares? For the Senate, we have results 53 to 47. Again, the lightest shade is tilt margins. McCormick won by 0.5%, as did Slotkin. Baldwin won by less than 2. Which is funny because that's what I initially had as victory margin, and then I just had peer pressure get me to a Hovde win. fuckers. So that's that. Nevada is remarkably close. I thought it would be an actual blowout. But that's about it. What it is right now. I think this actually moved to a lean margin, but whatever. In terms of guessing, I did say in the 3-hour video that one of the 3 Rust Belt states would go Republican. I just had it as Wisconsin, but it turned out to be Pennsylvania, so that's funny. I guess I should have made them yellow, because it's one of the 3 went Republican, and that's the case. But whatever. In terms of margins of victory, this is a lot of red in this particular case. New Mexico I had on point. I had Heinrich winning by 10.2. Turned out to be Heinrich plus 10, so pretty on spot. 16 within range, that's basically everything north of the Mason-Dixon. Including the one for Pete Ricketts. Every other Senate race, I underestimated the Republicans by at least 5 points. In some cases, like Texas, I had Cruz winning by about 3. He won by 8, I think, or 9, something in that particular range. I had Scott winning by 3. He won by 15, so that is one race that I should have seen coming. New York was a lot closer than expected. Maine was, Vermont was, Virginia was, Tennessee. A lot broader of a margin. Same goes for Missouri, North Dakota, Wyoming, Utah. And in the case of the West Coast, Washington, I think I had Cantwell winning by 25. Turned out to be like 18. So another significant miss. This is in terms of polling, I suppose. Nevada is the one that has the biggest miss for me. I think I had Rosen winning by 10. And it turned out to be Rosen plus 1. That's kind of a giant miss. I blame the polling for that. In terms of the governors, nothing different to expect here. Everything went to a safe margin for either candidate. I guessed all of them correctly. And in terms of margins, well, a little bit of a swing and a miss in some cases. Montana, I underestimated Bus. Or Busey, or whatever the guy's last name is. Who cares? He's irrelevant. The only ones that I underestimated were Vermont, West Virginia, and Utah. And when it comes to Vermont, my gut feeling had Scott winning by 50. And then again, the model is supposed to be leading in this particular case, so I'm literally trying to remove my bias from this. In which particular case, the polling had him winning by 30. And then adjusting for polling errors, you would get to 37. So that's still a giant miss. I take full responsibility for that, but I deliberately chose to not have my personal intuition be a part of it. Indiana, spot on. North Dakota, spot on. When it comes to Utah, I was expecting Phil Lyman to take more of the vote. I was expecting him to take about 15 to 20 points. He got 10. West Virginia, yeah, well, that's a really unpredictable margin because for every single statewide race in the Trump era years, you have about a 15-point margin of error in terms of voting or polling the Republican vote share. So, for an example, I think Trump was supposed to win the state by 15 in 2016. He won by close to 40. So that's the kind of polling errors you have to deal with. Joe Manchin was supposed to win the state by 10 in 2018. He won by like 1. Something like that. So the only individual that is actually outperforming in terms of polling in the state of West Virginia would be James Justice, who is now a U.S. Senator, or a U.S. Senator-elect. Alright, House of Representatives, as you can see, there are about 6 still left. 5 of them are in California. What the fuck are these Californians doing? Must be something in the water. Alaska is still counting, technically. It's ranked choice voting as well, so that takes a long time to go. At least, I hope they have the race by December, I guess. Well, as long as Nick Buttigieg is not above 50 points, there is a chance for Peltola. But and now he's at 49.6 in that particular range, so it's leaning towards him. Of the outstanding races that we have right now, the expected outcome would be for them to be split evenly, which means Jim Costa is winning, Josh Harder, Dave Min, which means I have one more wrong guess in this particular case. So there's that. 219 to 210, that's what it is at the moment. Republicans have a majority, and it appears to be that they're going to have the same majority that they do in the current iteration of Congress, which is funny. Spend $500 million in terms of an election only for it to have the exact same House composition. Bureaucracy at work. So, here's it in terms of indication of state delegates. So what it means, in the case of Maine, for an example, both have 2 seats. What do we see in Arizona? A 6-3 split. Texas, 25-13, and so on and so forth. So what do we see? California still has 5 open. It's going to be 2 Republicans, 3 Democrats. And Alaska, of course, is leaning towards the Republican side. The only thing that's important to see here is Minnesota and Colorado. And in case they have both 4 representatives each, and the reason why that's important is because of this one. This is the state delegation chart, and as you can see, blue has a majority Democrat delegation, red has a majority Republican delegation. And as you can see, because it's a tie, I cannot fill in Minnesota and Colorado, which means in a contingent election, which means if Jamie Raskin somehow was capable of removing the electoral votes for Donald Trump, or disqualifying Trump, guess what? The House of Representatives, they get to nominate a presidential candidate, and 29 states will vote for the Republican candidate, which means you're going to get a Republican president, regardless of who you think it's going to be. Likewise, with the Senate being majority Republican, the vice president will be a Republican. Cry about it. Alaska's not filled in yet, because, well, the one House race in Alaska is not yet been called, so bringing it in to the calling for my case. 418 races have been correctly called by myself. 11 wrong. That's going to be 12 if the trends currently hold up. So I'm going to say this. It's pretty good if I do say so myself. In which particular cases, I'm going to think about it. 1, 2, 3, 4... Gonna have to really think about this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so of the races that I called wrong, 6 of them were in favor of the Democrats, 5 of them in favor of the Republicans. So that is something to take into account. It's about evenly split in terms of bias, I suppose. The one in Washington, the middle one, or the 4th district right here, Washington 4th, it was Republican against Republican, so it doesn't really matter that I got it wrong, but it's more of a what kind of faction of the Republican Party won, aka did one of the impeachment 10 win, or did the, America First Republican win? In this particular case, Dan Newhouse hang on, and we get to see him for another 2 years. Fucking clown. So that's that. One more important thing regarding referendums. The one that is most important, of course, is the one in Alaska. At the moment, it's 51 to 49 for a repeal of the ranked choice voting system, which means come next election, if the trends hang on, Democrats are going to be shut out of that House seat in Alaska. And another important one, Lisa Murkowski, in 2028, she's done. Good riddance. So that's that. That is the post-mortem, I guess. There's not really any other referendum that's important to discuss. Funny one, the weed ones in the Plain State, they all failed. Every state that had provisions to ban non-Americans from voting. All of them passed. Any other important ones to discuss? Not that I can think of at the moment. So that's pretty good. Yes, that's another one. So I did create a spreadsheet for that, and I calculated the average. And if trends hold on, I have a 97.4% accuracy in my guesses. So 97% instead of Nate Silver getting 50. I think I've done a pretty good job this cycle. Thank you kindly for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Have a pleasant day, afternoon, evening. I don't know where you live or what the time is when you watch this particular video. But make the best of it. Cheers, friends.